Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to discuss the Great Reset. Can it happen? I believe it's already started. So in the last few videos I've done, I've talked about each kind of category of what's moving forward with their agenda. Today we wrap it all up and put it all under one video. So currently Americans have $925 billion of credit card debt. That's on an unstable trend, and it cannot be sustained. Paired with card debt that has reached 1.52 trillion, and this was the second quarter of 2022. This isn't Q3, Q4, right? What goes up must come down. So you're already having Americans that are having to triage their debt. They pay groceries, utility bills. They'll pay credit card bills once every 2 or 3 months. Their cars. I have multiple friends inside the industry that tell me that their people are dropping off their automobiles 1 to 2 at a time, voluntary repossessions. This kind of leads into the whole Great Reset notion, right? And this isn't going to happen in 1 year, 2 year. This is a 10-year or more trend, right? These guys can't work like that. You'll figure it out too quickly. It's strategic moves. So we've already got the American consumer covered in debt. Pretty soon those people will start defaulting. On top of this, our U.S. population is collapsing. This will affect Social Security, baby boomers, and the housing market. Baby boomers are retiring. They'll be selling their houses before too long, moving into assisted living facilities or so on. If you're able to keep up on yourself, keep your house, good for you. But the trend is there. And right now, with the American population collapsing, there's not enough people to pay into Social Security to keep it solvent. And there's not enough people to buy those houses to prop up demand. So you're going to have housing collapse and then possible Social Security insolvency. And then we go into another key, investment funds, pension funds, BlackRock, etc. They're buying multifamily properties in bigger cities. You may ask, why are they doing that? With a smaller population, those populations want to move to bigger cities because of bigger opportunities, because they've chose to forego a family for financial freedom. Right? Now, I'm not saying you can't have financial freedom with a family, but the younger generation don't see it that way. They see it as an anchor holding them back. And then this kind of balloons into the other side of it before we kind of get into the CBD side. So what if the dollar collapsed? Right? And this is not now. This is 10 years from now, right? So let's just say, kind of like back in Sri Lanka, this is the DXY. It's the US dollar measured against a basket of currencies. Let's just look back at what happened in Sri Lanka. Most of the world's debt is denominated in dollars. Once those countries can't get those dollars, they're forced they have to sell whatever they can to grab those dollars to satisfy that debt. When they do that, they lose the ability to buy basic necessities for their population. When this happens, you have civil unrest. When people take over, they forego that debt or whatever. They make whatever moves they've got to move or make. So in this situation, right, the US dollar keeps moving higher as the Fed tightens. The dollar's weakness is its strength. As the DXY measures higher against these other currencies, life in America becomes great. Life in emerging markets become horrible. And so what happens is you're going to have emerging markets prying away from the dollar. No more dollar denominated debt. We can't afford to do this anymore. Powell's getting phone call after phone call, and then all it takes is one block to move away from the dollar. Fed answers the call and starts printing money to ease the burden on these emerging markets, printing to satisfy those loan amounts, right? Because at this time we're moving into deflation, which is bad. So we start printing all this money off, right? Then we have another downturn, and then right before another spike, right? Or it can collapse, right? So the dollar starts climbing, these emerging markets start satisfying these loans. All things are good in the world. America, I'm sure at this time, has used the stimulus to create the largest infrastructure boom the world has ever seen. New internet rails, all this stuff. Well, once these dollars are there, there's no debt being denominated in them anymore. So the Fed's got another problem. How do we suck this money out of the system? They're not going to be able to. At least to an extent to where it makes meaningful change in the direction of the inflation. Now it's starting to hit America. People are starting to get upset, frustrated, similar to what they're having now, but times 10. So this leads to a collapse in confidence in the dollar, in fiat, and the only course of action the Fed will have at that time is a central bank digital currency, which is built on a blockchain. These central bank digital currencies, and regardless of what blockchain they're built on, you can track these by your public key, your wallet key, public key. So anything that you go and buy, the government can deny that. And at that point, the banks are gone. It's just between you and the Fed. It's not you, JP Morgan, and then the Fed. It's just you and the Fed. So the Fed can deny or approve whatever purchases. They can send you stimulus. They can take away money. They can do whatever they want to without your consent. Well, with these rollout, people have failed to grasp these, right? To start using them. The only backstop the Fed has is to back these CBDCs by a mixture of gold, Bitcoin, or whatever. I believe this will be what is needed to pull us out of it, but it jumps right into the Great Reset, right? Right now we have to this point, your credit card debt reset, car loan reset, the housing market's going through substantial changes. The infrastructure that we just built, no one really needs it, and so we kind of fall into a depression, right? And this is 10 or 15 years from now, and during that period, most people will accept any kind of terms of surrender to escape their situation. And this falls right in line. They'll move into cities. They'll move wherever the government asks them to. They'll spend their money on whatever the government asks them to spend it on. They'll live whatever it is, as long as they've got a roof over their head for their kids, food for their kids, and whatever, right? And then on top of this, right, we have billionaires, Bill Gates and so on, buying huge swaths of farmland in this country and across the world. I believe this is the next boom. If the dollar is not backed, or the CBDC is not backed by gold or Bitcoin or whatever, it's going to be backed by food. The petrodollar is no more. China and Saudi Arabia, everybody else thinks they have it over on America. They destroyed the petrodollar. Well, you know what? When there's droughts in Kansas, there are riots in Cairo. The world will know the food dollar if the CBDC fails with Bitcoin and gold as its backing. These guys are smart. They know what they're doing, right? And investing in farmland is not a bad investment at all. So this kind of falls back to the Great Reset, right? Stakeholders, right? Stakeholders could be your farm, your Bill Gates, your Warren Buffetts, your BlackRock that owns all the real estate. All these separate companies will own probably 80% of what we need to survive. I would say close to 90% of what we need to survive. The population will be smaller, easier to feed, more docile. If you ask me, this is the perfect recipe for the Great Reset. I could be wrong. This is just me speculating. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. I'm giving away $250. Once we hit 250 subscribers, then I'll give away another 250 soon after that. So subscribe, like. Thank you for your time. Hope everyone had a wonderful holidays. Beefy out.